I think it's time, yes, to get started. But before, I don't know, elephant in the room, Big Bertha over here. So I'm going to go ahead and wear my Amazing Race hat and cover that bad boy because it looks god-awful. My hair's crazy too.
So let's take it some time. But here is our recap of leg
6 of the Amazing Race. Subscribe, like, and share, please. Let's get it started.
So let's start from the very top. The night before we kicked off the leg, we slept horrible. We are very picky eaters, so we had barely eaten. I remember they had fed us couscous or something like that.
Which was a first for us. We had never
had that.
Yeah.
So I didn't like it, barely ate.
And it was very hot night. We were like sweating inside the hotel room. I don't know if it was us or the room or a combination of both. And so the morning of the leg, I just remember that Ryan and Dusty, my sister and I, were gonna be leaving together.
Yes.
But Dusty was like in another world. Like he just kept pacing back and forth.
It looked like he had like the Incredible Hulk was gonna come out. His eyes were like bulging.
And it's because of the same reason. He really hadn't slept a wink. He was drenched in sweat from what I can remember, what he told us that morning. And so it was not being able to sleep that well, knowing you have to go on the race, and
I think they felt they had a target on their back.
I mean, let's be real. They were a target. They are the best and physically in shape out of everybody on the race. And so, yeah, everybody was gunning for them. And I mean, that's common sense. Anybody.
It's actually a compliment because they were a strong team.
They are a strong team. And so with that being said, we had spoken to the guys and we were like, all right, let's work together since it had been working in previous legs. As you can tell, the people that were always in first and second place would always work together.
So we're like, all right, cool. So we did just that.
Yeah, so
while we were running up to get to the clue in Corsica, which by the way, it's very gorgeous. I mean, I remember them saying, all right, pace yourself because it's
yourself,
hike.
Girls. Yeah.
And we have the bags on our backs and
they know that we're not as in shape as they are. So they were giving us little tips on how to control our breathing, which we really appreciated. So when we finally got to the top and we had to choose whether we were going to do the mule challenge or the
cheese, my first instinct was, I love animals, so I'm like, ooh, let's do the mule. It's probably gonna be cute.
Yeah, and we thought it'll be fast. So all you have to do is saddle it. But then Dusty started raving about his cooking, that he is the best cook, that he knows how to do cheese. He's made cheese before. He's got this in the bag. Don't worry, to trust him that he's got this.
So we're like, all right, this guy's obviously an expert in cheese making. What if the donkey is stubborn? We know in previous seasons when you're handling an animal, sometimes it could be difficult if the animal doesn't feel like moving or maybe it's in a bad attitude, it could kick you or whatever.
And so that's why I said, you know what, let's do it the cheese. I just want to clarify something. 2 weeks ago, Dusty came to New York. We all went to Ryan's apartment and he cooked for all of us. And I have to say, he is a great cook.
Amazing.
That food was amazing.
Yeah, it's Chef Dusty.
I actually wanted seconds, but I was shy to say anything. But it was really good. So just to clear his name, Dusty is a good cook. He just sucks at making cheese.
Well, this time around, it wasn't in it for him.
No, it wasn't.
I think too, they had turned off the burner at one point from what I remember. I don't know why.
That's right. We finally get to the cheese making station.
And I remember they had turned off the burner and then they turned it back on. But I think that is really what held them back because it took them longer for the cheese to start, brewing.
Right. So Ryan and I decided we were going to be handling the pot, right? And so you and Dusty kept running back to the woman that was making the cheese. Now, she wasn't talking. She wasn't saying anything.
She was just sitting there. She kept, moving her arm. Anything, we had to really guess, look at the thermometer at what temperature you throw the milk in.
We're not cooks. I think we've said this before. So me using a thermometer inside of a big ass pot, I'm like, I don't know how to read this. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm not ashamed to say it. But it was my first time using one. I was guiding myself from what you and Dusty were saying.
I just remember, as soon as we saw Kim and Penn pass us, that's when Dusty started panicking, and I just remember him going back and forth. And he'd go to my pot, then he'd go to Lady, he'd run back to Ryan, and it was like a ping pong. And I'm like, calm down because it was stressing me out.
Ryan, I have to give kudos. Let's clap it up for Ryan because he stayed cool and collected. And I think that is why Dusty and Ryan were a very, strong team because they balanced each other off. Ryan was cool and collected. Meanwhile, Dusty kept running back and forth, ping-ponging from his station, our station, and the woman making the cheese. It got the best of us for a moment.
It was frustrating a little bit. In hindsight, we should have just moved on and done the...
5 minutes in, we should have just left.
Left to the mule challenge.
But it wasn't a good challenge for them. We did pretty good, though, because we had the cheese done.
Pretty fast.
She burned me a couple of times.
But I was scared to change roadblocks because given what happened to Arun in Natalia and Scotland, where they were at the barrels and then they left to do the dancing.
It trailed them behind.
So you don't really know and you second guess yourself. Maybe this time around we shouldn't have. We should have just gone to the stupid mules.
But regardless of the fact, we were still in second place. We finished the cheese. They gave us the clue. And then I remember looking over to Ryan and Dusty. And I'm like, are you guys good?
I felt bad leaving them because we saw that Akbar and Sherry were there.
And
they
Arun
seemed like
and
they had it together.
Right. And at that point, it was like, well, we've told you everything that we've done. And hopefully you guys can get it together. And so we left. Not long after, Raquel and Kayla were right behind us. So we were like, all right, let's go. And we were off to the roadblock. And the roadblock was actually pretty fun. It was another hike. We were going in through water. You had to splash into the rocks.
Originally, I wanted to do it, but
I wanted to help my sister out. She was on her period. Ladies, you know what we're talking about. It can get very uncomfortable. You're wet. You're uncomfortable as it is.
Yeah.
And I knew that, so I'm like, you know what? Let me take one for the team. I'll do it.
I should have done it regardless because I have a lot more endurance when it comes to hiking, and I probably would have been a little quicker.
I had already done the hiking in Switzerland in Mount Santis. So you should have done it. But I was trying to be a good sister here.
I appreciate that.
And so I'm like, whatever, I'll do it. And so I, geared up and I started the hike. A lot of hiking, I gotta tell you. But the scenery, I have to say, this was a really fun roadblock. The scenery was great, jumping into the water, sliding through the rocks, the zip lining. It was...
Hey, don't rub it in my face.
Sorry, don't mean to. But we ran into a little trouble.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, let's talk about it. Raquel, she screwed me over. No, okay, so here's what happened. I was ahead and I saw the clue. So we had always said we were gonna stick together, right? We wanted at least one of the girl teams to make it to the final. If not both of us, at least one of us. So we always said we're gonna stick together, women empowerment, let's do this. So if you can hear us while we're, hiking, it is being said, we're gonna work together, we got this. Can I have the editor please play the little soundbite right down here? Let's all hear it together.
Do you see a clue? Right on. If I see it, I'll let you know. We'll do this together, babe. Yeah.
So what happened, Lulu?
So I tell her where the clue is, and then I wait for her. This is something they did not show. The clues were on a branch and they were all like tangled. I waited for her and helped her to untangle the clue because she couldn't just take the branch with her along with the other clues. She had to untangle it. So I waited for her. I didn't have to do that. I stayed there to make sure that she had the clue and so that we can leave together. Because if you heard before at the mule, when they were with Kim and Penn, Kayla goes, or was it Raquel? 4 heads are better than 1. So then I'm like, yeah, 4 heads are better than 1. And so I'm like, okay, I waited, that way we can go together. Now, I wasn't expecting Raquel to hold my hand and we were gonna skip, through the rocks together and sing songs. Obviously, it's a race, but I turn around and she's out. Like, I didn't know where she went.
Yeah, and in hindsight, you could have just been out and not waited.
Right, I didn't have to tell her anything. I could have just left. But I didn't do that because, again, we agreed that we were gonna work together and stay together. So I was thrown for a loop. I was sad. It hurt my feelings. My feelings were so hurt. Like I thank God they didn't show this. But I even cried. Like I couldn't believe that she had backstabbed me that way.
Now obviously she's hurt. It hurts me. mess with my sister. You mess with me.
I was
was trying to understand what went wrong because she did leave first. So I don't know what had happened that she was now coming after Raquel. I started panicking. I think it was like a 5 to 10, no more than 10 minutes, maybe less, 7 minutes. So I started panicking. I'm like, did she have an asthma attack? Did she fall? Did she break an ankle? I started thinking the worst here.
No, I didn't. I honestly, I was so mad. I was fuming mad. I had this rage over me, like I could not believe. I didn't expect it from her. I would have expected it from some. I just didn't expect it from her. And so whatever. I was so upset that I let the emotions get the best of me.
We both did because then I was feeding off of your energy.
Yeah, and so that made us not read the clue. Oh my goodness. So we get down there with our bags and we start, trying to inflate the kayak. But here's another thing that I'm gonna get into. Kayla and Raquel are there. They're seeing that. They're still in second place. We're still in third place.
So we're still in the lead.
There's nobody around. So then, why then would the girls stay shut and not say, girls, go leave your backpacks or you're not supposed to have your bags? They didn't say anything. They stayed shut. So, and then they wished us good luck. So it was kind of like, I don't understand. I know that they were being focused on what they were doing, but again,
it came off like they were being sarcastic.
Yeah, like, did you wish us well, or were you laughing because you knew that we had our backpacks and you didn't say anything? What happened to
helping each other out?
Women, yeah, like, I don't understand. The point was to make sure that the guys would trail behind, right? Because they're the biggest competition. So I don't see why them staying shut and not saying anything about the bags. They wouldn't say anything. Now, I don't want to say that it's their fault. We should have read the clue and we should have known to leave the bags. I'm just putting that out there.
But here's the thing, though. When the guys come and we're inflating the kayak, so it's the boys, us, and Aruna and Natalia. Even then, the guys are still helping us out when they didn't have to. They're telling us, girls, make sure that you inflate the kayak
and lock it in.
Lock it in. Do it this way. While they're doing their own thing.
And pump as hard as you can. They don't feel that.
You see the difference as to they're trailing behind and yet they're still trying to help us.
And they have a target on their back. And they still help. And so the girls could have helped and they stayed shut. And so to me, it's kind of like, what a bummer, Like, this is a perfect example of how women don't help each other the way that they should. And this goes overall. And I don't know why I'm holding this pencil as if I'm a teacher of some sort. But again, those were the little things that we thought, like I don't, like
maybe we looked into it, or maybe we're just too nice and we should have just ran our own race.
We've read the comments. We've seen what people are saying, that, it's a race, it's $1 million.
You have to think for yourself. Cardinal rule number 1.
Read the clue.
Don't help anyone, no alliances, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? We're nice people. Kill us. You know what I'm saying? It sucked to have gone from second place to last.
Right.
Because, man, did we have such a good leg the leg before. We really honed in, focused, and to see that, it was so heartbreaking. We were so hurt. So we were just feeling every type of emotion imaginable. And but at least we came in fifth and not last.
Yes.
Now, there is a part 2 to this recap, and we're actually very excited. We are going to have the girls, Raquel and Kayla, on with us to talk about it, because I think it's fair that we do hash this out and that we do see their point of view, and we just
let's be real. It did bother me reliving that all over again. I thought it was kind of, I do say it on the screen, that it was kind of like a bitch move for her to have done that, because I don't understand it till this day, the thought process. I just don't.
I mean, we got over it, but then seeing it over again,
it brought that anger right back. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna be
on with them,
woman to woman. We're gonna talk about how
I'm really excited. Yeah, so it should be good.
You guys also have to understand, there's a lot of crap talking throughout the entire race. A lot of things were being said. Arun and Natalia, we have nothing against Arun and Natalia, but let's keep it 100. We didn't have at that moment the bond that we had with Kim and Penn,
Akbar and Sherry,
Ryan and Dusty, Raquel and Kayla, because we were all stuck together in Scotland when the pandemic hit. So we were able to kind of
talk and get to know each other a little more. rather than Arun and Natalia,
we really
who had
didn't
already
know.
been eliminated.
Right. And then while we were racing, we didn't have that much downtime to sit and chat it up with one another. We didn't. And so we didn't know what they were thinking either. We were kind of like, are they really saying that about us? Or are they not saying? What? Like, who's lying here? Who's the one putting all this out there? So needless to say, it was a very interesting episode to watch.
Kudos to Dusty and Ryan. What a comeback.
Huge comeback.
They were in last and then ended up coming in third. So
kudos to Kim, who she paddled by herself.
I can't believe. I remember her telling us about it, but actually watching Ben laying there like a lump on a log in pain, and just Kim, what a badass. She's like paddling away. That her way, the dealing with the water, like it's hard. And
by the way, Lala and I have never paddled or kayaked before, so we don't know who's supposed to be steering. I figured the person in the back steers.
I didn't know.
So I kept telling Lala, left, or right, and she's like, I can't see what you're doing. To me, I'm like, you don't need to see what I'm doing. You need to listen to what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And if I say left, then you go left.
Yeah,
not that hard.
Yeah, but there were a few times where you're like, don't you see what I'm doing? I'm like, no, I don't have eyes in the back of my fucking head.
Yes, I understand that, but there's not much logic to it. You're paddling. You're either going left or you're going right. So
I've always had a problem.
She still has this problem driving though.
Yeah, left. I don't know why I do that. Sometimes I'm like, all right, left, this one.
So normally she's the one that drives and I navigate. The GPS will be telling her, turn left. I'm screaming, left. Homegirl here,
I don't know why I do that. I think I have a problem. I should go see a doctor. Something I should have seen a doctor when I was young. I don't know why I do that. And I recognize, and sometimes I catch myself going right when I should be going left. But I'm human, okay? I'm not perfect.
I'm not saying that I'm a great navigator. I'm not. That's why we have GPS. But when she doesn't listen to the GPS, I'm there to scream and like hand signal her to go to the right or to the left. Yeah. But it was a fun episode.
It really was. I think the people viewing it, and not obviously we know because we experienced it, it was a good episode too.
And I did learn my lesson, you know. I am too nice overall in life. I like to help everybody out, and sometimes it's gonna bite you in the ass like it did in this episode. Lesson learned. Don't help, run your own race, and
read the damn clue.
So anyway, we got part 2 of
coming
this
up with Raquel and Kayla. So please don't miss that. That's going to be fun, and I can't wait to see them.
Yes. So hope you like this little recap of leg 6 of The Amazing Race. Next week is going to be another interesting episode.
We're still in France.
Yes. So see ya. Wait, we forgot to mention something.
So, Dusty and Ryan looked hot as hell on this episode. No disrespect at all to anybody, but it is the truth. And I find it funny, specifically when we were at the canyon.
At the roadblock.
At the roadblock. It was Kim, Kayla, myself. I can't remember if Sherry was there yet. But Ryan is putting on the wetsuit. I don't know if he was putting it on or taking it off, but it reminded me of like Baywatch. Like I had the song of Baywatch in the back of my head, and it seemed like he was in slow motion. He was taking off his shirt, he was putting it on, and you just see all the muscles flexing, and we're just standing there like,
I think everybody appreciated that. I know I appreciated seeing the boys without a shirt at the very end. Again, all due respect to Ashley and Bridget, and of course
to our significant others. But I just found it funny after the stressful fight that we had at the kayak. We're hiking and we're running, trying to get to the pit stop, and then we see them and we're like, all right, well, we ended last, but here's a nice view,
a bonus.
Here's
a bonus for
view.
America. Oh man.